Right, okay. So yeah, this is a complete like behind the scenes little film about the stuff that I've learned over the past couple of years, getting to the stage where the videos that I'm making now are pretty decent. So this is all the stuff that I do every time I make a video. This is everything that happens. So the first thing that I need to do is sort the window out, because the variable light that's coming in at various times during the day is going to cause a problem. So I didn't used to have a blind on this window. So the first thing that I need to do is sort that out. Now that's going to make the room very gloomy. We'll sort that out in a minute. What that also does is provide a tiny little bit of noise damping, because obviously my voice was bouncing off that glass. So when I'm talking, it was producing like echoes that weren't really very pleasant. The next thing that we have to sort, obviously, is the lighting. It's very poor at the moment. So as you can see behind the setup, we've got two primary lights. So I've got a dedicated switch for them that I can just flick, and that turns those two lights on. Otherwise I'd have to go hunting around the back. But particular, go on, why not? Have a look in there. I'm ably assisted by Pauline today. So that's just a tiny glimpse of the absolute chaos that's going on under the hood. Right, let's stop looking at that, because it's very grim. I'm going to have to pull the microphone down, so normally this is out of my way. I'm going to pull the microphone down. The microphone's not currently active. I'll need to sort that out in a moment. The next thing that we've got is this third light over here, kind of hanging around in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of a bit sad that it just has to live. Like 2 or 3 times a week I'll make videos, and this light is going to get used shortly. Right, let's sort that out. So normally when I'm doing my tutorial videos, or I'm talking about stuff that's inside Cubase, I've got a green screen so that it just gives me a little bit more real estate behind my head, makes the shot slightly less cluttered. Green screen. So this is going to have to go behind my camera. Now, this guitar cable is a complete pain in the backside, because the legs keep on standing on it, so I'm constantly having to shuffle that out of the way. Pretty much got to know where the camera is. Just have a quick look at the camera over there. So I'm just in the middle of the camera shot. And I've figured out where that green screen needs to be. That's just, you know, lots and lots of videos of the edge of the screen not quite being in focus for me to learn where that is. That's where the third light comes in. Because as things stand, the green screen's got big areas of shadow on it. So if you come around and just have a look at the green screen for a moment. If you take a good shot of the green screen, and I turn the light off, see these big shadows, and the shadow cast by the chair as well. When I'm sat in the correct place, the shadows on both sides of the green screen. Now that will cause diffusion on the filters. They won't catch the green screen properly, so I have to turn this light on, and basically I've got these like wings on the lights that just make sure that the light is focused exactly on the green screen to take those shadows away. Then I need to turn the camera on. So if you come and have a look at the screen now. I mean, we'll switch to in-screen mode shortly, but just for the time being we'll stick in kind of live view. Every time you turn the camera on, this annoying application pops up that you have to quit out of. You can also see at the moment I've got my toolbar down at the bottom. That's valuable real estate that needs to get adiosed. So every time I'm making a video, I have to disable the taskbar. Then I'm going to go into OBS. I need to activate my camera, which for some reason that app that spawned the Windows program overrode that. You know, fluffy dressing gown. You're in view. Right, okay. We'll switch to in-screen now, and I'll carry on from inside the application. Okay, so that's me enabling the microphone in the control room. Pauline's just told me that when I turned this light on behind me, it wasn't really obvious that it was sorting out the shadows. So I'm actually showing you the green screen with basically the chroma key is disengaged. So if here's the filter settings that I use on the green screen. So that's without the green screen on at all. And if we activate the green screen, you can see that now it's basically hiding whatever's behind me, or it's trying to as much as possible. And you might just be able to see this area of dark fuzz. So there I've put Notepad behind the screen so you can really clearly see what's going on. Now I'll turn this third light on. It is a very dramatic improvement. Even though it might not look like it's doing anything on the shadows behind the screen, it really is. It's throwing a lot more light on there, and where it needs to be sorted, it's sorted. Now, having said it's sorted, let's have a look if it really is. That's pretty good. What I'll generally do, and I tend to do this if I'm making videos at different times during the day, just because even though the blinds are closed, and they are blackout blinds, I don't pull them all the way down. There's a little bit of ambient loss. I do quite regularly go into these chroma settings and fix them. The similarity is the big one. If you pick that up, you can see what the green screen is doing. And there, you basically just have to adjust it until there's as little green fuzz as possible. There's no static on that. And it's always a different number that I settle down on, but it's whatever the ambient conditions are. The light in a slightly different angle, the green screen at a slightly different angle. This is the stuff that a year ago I was letting slide and really not looking. If you look at videos of mine a year or more ago, some of them are really blurry. They're difficult for me to watch now because the quality of my camera work is just so poor. I had exactly the same equipment. I didn't have these nice lights actually, I didn't have them. But I did have the camera and I did have the green screen, and I just wasn't taking sufficient attention of how poor the output quality was. It's not so much that you don't care about these things, so just having a bit of a readjust of the contrast and brightness and making sure that everything looks as nice as I can. It's not that I don't intellectually know that all of this stuff's important, but it's unbelievable how much passes your attention when you're actually doing it. It's a little bit like driving a car. You've got so many things to pay attention to all at the same time. And I'm trying to focus on the content that I'm making. I'm usually talking about a pretty complicated technical subject. You know, I might be kind of diving into the depths of granular synthesis and trying to explain this, pretty complex subject. I have no spare brain capacity to worrying about whether or not my chroma settings are right or my gamma correction. You just forget to think about that stuff. I've made entire videos with the microphone not on. Speaking of which, the levels are critical to establish as well. One of the biggest or most common consistent criticisms I've had of the videos that I've made in the past has been volume levels. So I now try to make sure as much as possible that if I'm talking to you, I want to make sure that when I'm talking, I'm not quite touching the red, unless I'm just there, but there you go, I just touched into the red if I said something very slightly loud. That's perfect from that perspective. You also have to do the test from Cubase perspective as well. Get it playing. And so I need to make sure that the output of whatever's playing in the background is appropriate. So if I was doing a tutorial where I was talking about a particular kind of sound, I try to get it so that it's just on the transition between green and yellow. If I'm shutting up and I'm playing a song back to you, I'll try to make the song as loud as possible. And this is stuff that I'm, again, constantly adjusting, trying to make sure that this stuff is right as often as possible, but out of the way, because when I'm doing the recording itself, I really don't have time to think about that kind of stuff. I'm completely concentrated on making the content as good as possible, and the technical stuff just needs to work. Now, if I'm in the middle of recording something and I make an absolute mess of it, I'll very often just stop, have a think. Can I rescue it from the situation that I'm currently in? Can I just start recording again? If not, I'll stop the recording, fix whatever needs to be fixed. Maybe I need to load a new preset in, change some values, just get my life in order, figure out what it is I'm going to say. When I've had that long period of silence to kind of figure out what the next stage is going to be, press record, take a deep breath, think about things, stare back at the camera, and then start talking again. So sometimes there can be 15 or 20 minutes lag in between a moment and, an instantaneous change of shot, because I've had to figure out some kind of, new thing. I don't think I've ever made a single video that spanned over a day. So I've never had to worry about, the continuity nonsense. I probably wouldn't bother, changing jumper or whatever, because, at the end of the day, who cares? But you do want it to be as seamless an experience as possible. Try to make sure that I've got a consistent perspective on the camera. Don't start talking while I'm looking away from the camera and then look up towards the camera, because you can't transition that stuff. When you splice those screens together, you're going to see that kind of, why is the head looking down there? It wasn't, in the last frame. And the single biggest tip, which I'm still not doing, and even in this video I haven't done consistently, is pausing between statements, because it makes your editing so much easier if you do. Very often I'll get into the flow of something, I'll be saying something halfway through and I'll then have to splice together and it doesn't quite fit, and then you get this kind of weird vocal crash. So just try to make sure I'm trying to insert this buffer in my brain where each major phrase or, single concept is separated by pauses, and it just makes the video editing much, much easier. That's not to say that it isn't just a whole world easier if I can talk fluently and consistently and I don't have to chop sections of video out. But that's just not the reality of life. That's not how things work. Even during the making of this video, ordinarily I would shut the right hand pane down so that you're not constantly distracted by the flashing of the audio levels. All of this stuff, it's so easy to miss. During the making of this video, I genuinely didn't realise that I'd left the control room right hand pane on. If this was a tutorial video that I was making, I would re-record the entire thing, because that's so distracting. So, 2 years in and I'm still making fundamental, noob mistakes. And if you'll allow me the indulgence of giving you a tip, because I'm not an expert, but I can at least give you a little bit of the wisdom that I've learned in the intervening period. Don't get too worried about your old videos. Yes, they're going to be offensive to you every time you see them, and you're going to kind of wince slightly because there are so many technical things that you're going to get wrong. Don't worry about it. I don't think anybody can reasonably expect anybody to get all of this stuff right. I'm still nowhere near there. All we can do is the best we can at any given moment. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please hit the like button. Thanks very much for watching.